Corporate media has earned its collapse, right? It's been not a journalistic endeavor for quite some time for these people. And whether you look at the Don Lemons of the world, or the Chris Cuomos, or the, George Snuffleupagus is paying $15 million for his lies, right? And by the way, they deserve a lot worse than that. They're getting off light, if you ask me, defaming the President of the United States on television.
Can we, speaking of George real quick, can we...
See what I meant about the microphone?
I know, right? So, George Stephanopoulos, I don't know if you guys realize this, the $15 million that ABC has to pay, did you know that that all has to go directly to the Donald Trump Presidential Library? So hold on. So my thought is, he should open up a wing to all of the hoaxes about him, and we name it the George Stephanopoulos Library of Fake News.
Stealing that one. I'm stealing that one. That's a good one.
I stole yours yesterday, so,
exactly.
So we'll make us even.
It's just an exchange. The corporate media deserves to be in collapse, but I want to tell you guys, I see this trend amongst, and it's not a trend, I mean, it's the way of the world, of the TikTok influencers and the Instagram influencers, and young people all seem to want to be that. But, my message for you from this stage today is that, yes, that's good and you're reaching lots of people, but actually there are real journalistic skills that you need to be building in to doing that thing, to building that audience and to getting the truth out there. Information is a weapon. And if we use it right, we can defeat our enemies. We can defeat, quite frankly, the demons. I mean, I've been on Capitol Hill for 9 years now. I have to fraternize these parties and these events all day long, every day. And these people are absolutely demonic. And what we need to be doing is weaponizing information. And so I've got some of the best people about weaponizing information up on stage with me. And I want to start with Natalie, because I think she's just obviously been a breakout star. I mean, frankly, a breakout star on the right, a breakout star in media, a breakout star of anybody that I've ever worked with.
Do we love Natalie Winters, folks?
But the reason is she actually does the hard work. As much as we like to joke around and hang out and whatever.
Hey, let me just interrupt.
Actually does the hard work.
The two
Over
of you
to you,
just
Natalie.
last week were texting me, you don't work anymore. You don't do any work. Which
How do you think we get you to work?
Look. I would also just add real quick, too, on the whole media collapsing. I think what really triggered them, made them really upset, was when Elon bought X and I think made the blue check mark sort of, he democratized. I would also just add real quick, too, on the whole media collapsing. I think what really triggered them, made them really upset, was when Elon bought X and I think made the blue check mark sort of, he democratized it, and I use democracy in the good sense, not the way that MSNBC does it, but that really got under their skin, right? And they get so upset when Elon says, you're the media now. And I think my question is, and always has been, what makes these people better or more, efficient or truthful in their reporting of frankly anything to us? And if anything, I think all they do is lie to us. It's pretty apparent now. So I think that compounded with the fact that a lot of the what we call in the war room sort of the censorship industrial complex, right? The Global Engagement Center, NewsGuard, organizations that I'm sure have probably all censored you guys in the audience, that they've been exposed. And that was something that you didn't really hear a lot about before. But so when you see that they don't have what we call sort of the Praetorian Guard no longer to defend their narratives, I think that they've also collapsed considerably in that sense. To Raheem's point, for those of you who don't know me, I'm the co-host of Steve Bannon's War Room, which we love the War Room. I started, and it's so wonderful to see so many young people in the audience. I'm also honored to be the token woman on this panel. But I started working, believe it or not, for Raheem when I was 18. After I graduated high school, I was like, I really want to intern for Raheem Kassam. I swear. And my mom looked at me and was like, what? What do you want to do? Okay.
Didn't work out
We all tried to talk her out of it.
Yeah, he tried. And I met all these wonderful people, and they've been so empowering. Worked my way up ultimately to become a contributor to War Room, but now I'm Steve's co-host and filled in for him when he was in prison. And, I think I see a lot of young women in this room and young men. There's different routes that you can take, and I'm not speaking from a position of privilege or trying to sound patronizing, but I think a lot of people want to take the easy route and just do talking points and post reels on Instagram, but you're not going to get anywhere if you're doing that. You have to do real, actual reporting, real news, which I'm happy to get into. It might be too granular for some people if you're not into it, but that's how you're able to build a career. Don't do opinion commentary. No offense. The one thing I internalized when I started, no one cares about my opinion. I was 18 at the time. I don't know what I'm talking about, so I really just stuck to primary source reporting, and that's what I would advise all young people to do.
And I want you to be aware of this. I wasn't saying that nobody cares about your opinion just because you're an 18-year-old woman. I actually have very little concern for, general opinion. I'm a news guy. Get me the information, the hard data. I don't want any of this anonymous sourcing BS, quite frankly. And I think, when you talk about you have to do more than just putting out talking points over Reels or TikToks, you actually, as people who regard themselves as influencers or who want to go that route, you already have most of the things in common with journalists. And it's curiosity and it's content creation. Those are the two major skill sets that you need to go out and do actual news reporting. One of the things I think you guys did, Josh, with your books especially, is going further, going beyond, asking the difficult questions. That's real news reporting. Talk to us a little bit about you and your process.
Yes, thanks, Raheem. Hello, everyone. I'm obviously Joshua Lysek, and my career began in ghostwriting, and I've ghostwritten a number of books, 96 books I've ghostwritten in the last 14 years, so I'm a bit of a machine, but I'll say half of those have been in the last few years as opposed to towards the beginning. And, of course, I've co-authored Bulletproof and Unhumans, both with Jack. Jack was, thank you.
By the way, if you can get unsigned copies, they're worth more.
Yes. And if
Raheem, how many copies of your book are you selling here this weekend?
0, none, nothing, nada.
I chose the wrong seat in between you guys.
I ghostwrite and co-author books with a lot of the characters in Trump World and MAGA World. Do we have anybody who's a simultaneous sipper? Coffee with Scott Adams? Anyone? Oh, we got a few? We got a few. Okay, so I work with Scott on his books.
Wait. My mom's back there, Mom. You better have had your hand up. She's every single day simultaneous. That's my mom right there, by the way.
So the sort of journalism that you might call what I do is sort of more like long-form sense-making. Long-form sense-making, which is simply longer stuff that helps you make sense of the world. Now, one of the reasons why Unhumans, which is a book about communist revolutions, has been so successful, selling many thousands of copies as it has, and being a New York Times bestseller, is not because it's history of the past, because it's a history of the present, and also the future, unless we do something to stop it. So when we look back at history, we have to ask, what's in it for me? So what? So if you are thinking about authoring a book, authoring long-form content, or even doing any kind of reporting, you have to have in the forefront of your mind what your audience's question is going to be, what your reader's question is going to be, which is, what's in it for me? Why do I care? Now, there are both independent and mainstream journalists who think, well, we will make them care. We will use rage bait. Rage and fear get people to click. Clicks, advertisement, cash money. So it's going to be outrage, it's going to be fear. But that's not more, we don't need more of that. What we need is, wow, I never realized that. I never knew that. I had no idea. That's what's going on. That's how it affects me personally. There's that meme of the annoying soy jack, I think he's called, where it's like, but how does this affect you personally? Yeah. That's the question that we need to be asking ourselves as we're sharing this. Books on communism, nobody cares because it does not affect you personally. So we had to do a little sense-making and explain how the template of far left-wing revolutions and movements follow the same template over the last 250 years, and we can expect to happen what exactly is what has been happening since the 1950s, sort of a slow-walked cultural revolution in the United States. And this is one example to help people realize what they can do personally. So chapter 13 of the book is sort of the plan to fight back on this. And we tell individual readers who are like soccer moms, they just started a podcast and there's 50 people, or you just listen to podcasts. What can the individual do? How does this affect me personally? There's another series I like to do on X called Spot the Propaganda, where I'll look at headlines from the mainstream media and I'll run through between 5 and 15, let's say, hypnotizing techniques to bring you into a trance to accept the premise. And one of those is the over-reliance on the passive voice. A car was driven. individual was stabbed. So it's sort of a passive voice. And that of course is communism, where it's oppressor versus oppressed. Where, well, if someone who is in an oppressed category did something that's wrong and evil and terrible, well, we have to switch it from the active, this person did this, to the passive. We don't even have to put them in the story. And then, if they do have active voice, what will they say? Republicans pounce.
Yep. You know, there's a section in there, and the media does this as well, and the communist regime that we're under also uses this, where it essentially follows the narcissistic personality traits of anyone who's been in one of these emotionally abusive, toxic relationships called DARVO. So has anyone heard DARVO? I actually see some people have heard this one. So, or have you read the book? Yeah. Okay, so she read it in the book, and it's once you see it, you can't stop seeing it. So this DARVO: deny, attack, reverse, victim, and offender. So you deny, you attack, and then you reverse the victim and offender. And so for those of you out there who see one of these things, like for example, I don't know, let's just pluck one out of the media, Luigi Maggioni. Yeah. So Luigi Maggioni is a perfect example of this, where we've seen increasingly in the media, Vox and other outlets are saying, they'll say, well, we don't agree with what Luigi Maggioni did. We understand why, and here's why. And so what they're doing is they're attempting to reverse victim and offender here. And once you see it, you can't unsee it.